Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Val's Vibe. I'm very excited to have Laura Brandao with me on today's podcast. Welcome, Laura.
Hello, Val. So happy to be here. How exciting.
Awesome. Yes, yeah. So I know that you recently transitioned to a new company, Lighthouse Advisors. For those of us that are not exactly sure what Lighthouse does, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, yes. So Lighthouse Advisors is a full consulting firm. So essentially, we have an entire team that can do fractional executive work down to specific details of consulting. For example, we have people that can come in and take a look at your operations and see the efficiencies and effective and productivity to be able to maximize workflows and interject technology. Or we have somebody that comes in to say, let's do an AI analysis. Where can we put some automation? Where can we put some AI? Let's take a look at your tech stack. Or we have people that want to grow new divisions, whether they want to grow a direct to consumer division, right? And they're thinking, you know what? We know those refis are coming back in 2025. So we need to start that direct to consumer division now so that we have everything in place at the time that starts. Or maybe you're making the leap from broker to correspondent or retail to broker. All of those different types of changes, whether you're looking for that fractional executive to come in and say, you know what, I need a project for the next 6 months, the next 3 months, the next year of someone coming in, giving us the strategy and the execution. The thing that's a little bit different on the Lighthouse side is the companies that I particularly work with, I don't just come and consult. I actually sit as part of their executive team. So I am in their executive meetings. I am working with the owners and the CEOs and presidents of those companies to be able to listen, learn, give advice, and be able to be integrated into the pipelines, into the chat features, into the actual company, because I believe if you're not truly integrated, how can you truly advise?
So you're fully immersive. You're really getting in there and almost forensically looking at the company to see, because I know a lot of people from retail are like, I want to be a broker, but they really don't have any idea of how vastly different the broker model is from the retail world. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm so glad you brought that up. So go ahead. What has been your experience?
I was just going to say a broker is a jack of all trades, where this is how I look at it. A broker is a jack of all trades, but retail is more uniquely specialized to one thing. So chances are if you're a retail loan originator, presumably you're not also doing all of the administrative work, taking care of your taxes, filing call reports, emptying the trash, whatever the case may be. But on the broker world, which I mean, that's what I've been doing for the last almost 20 years, you don't have a choice but to do everything because there isn't anybody else to ask really to do it until
More
you
of
get
an
to be one of the big
entrepreneurial
guys.
spirit, right? Like an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right. Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you brought this up because I just had a call today with a prospective client. And this particular person, it was two people, partners that have worked together for many years. They've been in the industry for almost 20 years, and they think they want to make the leap from going from retail to broker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it started with, we don't know what we don't know. This is what we hear. This is what we think we know, but we honestly need a guide. We need a company like Lighthouse Advisors to be able to say, this is what we need in technology. This is what we need in compliance. This is what we need from a payroll system. This is what we need from a system and a workflow. And we even spoke about when you're working with wholesale lenders, that's very different than retail, right? Where you can't call Susie the underwriter, meaning that you're always working with Susie. With here, yes, you're going to be calling those wholesale lenders, but you need to have a system in place that's going to trigger you to tell you, hey, it's been 2 days or it's been 3 days and I haven't heard anything from that particular wholesale lender. Maybe it's time for me to follow up, or maybe I need to have these checks and balances. And those were things that they hadn't had to think about before,
Yeah.
because that was all built out.
Yeah, it is pretty mind-blowing, even year after year, because when you think you finally have it all figured out, then the industry comes up with something else, whether it's branding or a new way of doing things or new platforms or just new rules and regulations. And especially if you want to be licensed in multiple states, which that always blows me away when people, they want to transition from retail to broker and let me get licensed in 10 or 15 states at this. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, how about you just figure out the first state and then you go to the second state? Because even I'm in Florida and Georgia are vastly different. They're 45 minutes away from where I'm sitting, but that doesn't mean that our processes, requirements, all of that stuff is the same. So Lighthouse is the light so you don't crash on the rocks, right?
That perfect name, right? But you get the vision, right?
Right.
The vision is, in most instances, let's take, I'm working with another client that they just recently got their approval from HUD. They went through their test cases. They now have the ability to underwrite in-house, right? Once again, they've never hired a DE underwriter. So we're helping them with, let us help you do some of the interviews, because we know the questions to ask to make sure that you're getting someone. We have a test file so that they can go in and they can do the test. And we make sure that you're getting a qualified and an accurate high-level DE underwriter. And then what about the rest, right? How do you stack this file? How do you send it for insuring? What are you doing on the post-closing side? Now, if all of this is new to you and you've never done it ever in your life, you need a guide, to your point, to make sure that, oh, I didn't know that HUD needed that. I wasn't sure about the timing of remitting that MIP. Whatever those little things are, this is the way to guide through without having to learn it from a mistake.
Yeah. And I think too, part of growth is failure, or I shouldn't even say failure, coming to the realization that what you thought was the right thing to do maybe isn't. Because I know when I first opened up my broker shop and I'm like, I've got to, I'm going to be a correspondent. And I did get, and this shows how long ago it was. It was when a little guy like me could get approved for HUD. And so we could do FHA loans. And I'm like, we had the net worth, we're doing the audited financials, and I never closed a loan other than as a broker. And I'm like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. And so I just made the decision to change from a correspondent straight to a broker. And I'm glad I did, because that's what works best for me. And I think too, having somebody to bounce all those ideas off of, not to stop them from doing it, but also to have somebody to communicate with that, hey, I've started this process, but maybe this isn't the right thing for me. And there is a better path.
I love that you just shared that, because that goes back to a conversation I was just having today, where I said, what does success look like for you? Because it's not the same for everyone. Like that example you just shared is, you realize, well, wait a minute, that's not the road I want to go down. That's not, that doesn't work for me, for my company, for me. I don't need to go down that road. And it's different for everyone. Don't think that you have to always go on one particular path. That might be success for one person, doesn't have to be success for you or for your company, right? So to your point, it's vastly different. And I think that's one of the things I love about our industry, is that there are so many different definitions of success, and we all can have our own unique path. And that kind of even ties for me. I'm realizing now at this point in my career, I absolutely love working with different people in the mortgage industry, whether it's the one man or woman shop that the broker that we're going to get them to be their best, or whether it's the huge national lender. All of them have the same, the needs might be different, but they all have needs and they all have requirements, and being able to come and serve and help, that's all we could ask. Because at the end of the day, every one of us are positively affecting families on the other side. And that's the greatest joy of everything that we do.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're working with a lot of people who are doing some business reflection and deciding, okay, 2025, that's the time I'm going to make this change. What kind of advice could you give for people as we do have this moment of self-reflection here? We probably got another 14 calendar days before everything really winds down to make 2025 better or just more fulfilling.
What's interesting, I was speaking to someone this morning, and she was going to an event that's happening in the industry. And she said to me, we decided to come 2 days early because we wanted to sit down in a place where we weren't surrounded in our normal environment to strategically plan for 2025. And the first thing that I would say is when you're doing your strategic planning for 2025, don't do it sitting in the same spot where you would normally do your work, because we all know what happens. We all know we're being pinged and poked and prodded and everything popping into us to where we cannot reflect and we cannot look back and we cannot look forward. So I'm going to say something that I said just today, where I said, your 2025 plan technically should already be in place, right? Because the truth of it is that anything that's happening in 2025, you put in motion probably 6 months ago, okay? But the way that I like to take clients is I want to go a little bit further in advance, right? Maybe a 27 even, right? Because the stuff that we're going to be doing in 2025 are the seeds and the future of what that 2027 is going to look like. So you're honestly not really planting for 25, you're doing it a couple years from now, right? Now, with that, what does success look like to you? Because you need to know, who am I, right? I'm just throwing out examples. If I'm a veteran and my passion is veteran lending, right? I'm someone that I know how to speak the language. I went to West Point. I want to be able to guide my fellow veterans through this. If that's who you are, then that should be your plan, right? Not to say you're not going to help FHA and conventional and all that. You are, but your messaging and who you are. Who are you? Are you focused in on that first-time home buyer? Are you out there with the education? Who are you? What does that success look like? And figure it out. Now, with the example I gave the one client that just got FHA, this is all part of his next 5-year plan, right? So 2 years ago, he started trying to get his approval for FHA. It didn't happen overnight. That was a decision 2 years ago that he put into motion. Now, if that's somebody out there that right now is, you know what? That's a goal. That's something I want to do. Okay, start thinking of what are the steps. It's going to take you a bit to get there. You have to start with that now. Is it going into, okay, I'm in New Jersey. Where else do I want to go into other areas? Connecticut, Pennsylvania. Maybe I want to do some type of expansion. If I want to grow my team, what does that team look like? Everybody knows, oh, I'm just going to hire. No, you have to be strategic of who do you want on that team. You don't just put out a I'm hiring sign. You need to strategically think about who do I want my partners to be as part of this team? And how are we collectively going to do this? So I think it all starts with asking yourself questions. Who do I look like in 2025? Who's on my team? What am I focused on? What is my branding? What is that messaging? And then, you know what? I got to tell you, my Sundays, today is Monday. My Sunday is a big reflective day. Every Sunday, I spend a lot of time looking at what I did the week before, what I'm looking to do this week ahead. And I am big on just digesting books and videos and things that put me in the right frame of mind. I have to tell you, I'm going to share this with everyone. I happen to be watching a video. Gary Vee did this video about social media in 2025. And it wasn't anything we didn't know already, but he mentioned a book that he wrote years ago. And that book, it's funny, I downloaded it many years ago and forgotten about the book. And then when I went back, I'm like, oh, I've read that book years ago. It's called The Thank You Economy. Okay. So I'm going to throw this out to everyone listening. If there's one thing you take away, thank you economy. And you know what that's about? All day long, all of us, I don't care who we are in business, of what position we are out trying to get more business, right? We're out there trying to get new families, new referral partners, and we're all trying to go get new people. The Thank You Economy book is all about the best place to get new business is with the people you did business with before.
Right.
I don't even care if it was 10 years ago. Go back to those people, reach out to them. Happy holidays, happy new year. Thank you so much for doing a loan with me 10 years ago. I'm checking in on you and your family to see how you are. The Thank You Economy is all about going back to those people that give us time. Those, even if we never even closed a loan, maybe we just worked with them for a few months and they changed their mind and didn't go buy a house. That is one of the things, as we're planning for this new year coming up, we all need to reflect on the Thank You Economy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because we're all in a sales industry.
Everyone.
Cold calling is the hardest part of sales. If you've already got some sort of a connection, you've got 95% of the battle has been won, because they at least probably, especially nowadays, it's not like they're having to look through the mail. What is this person's name? I don't recall. They're going to pop up on your computer. If their email address is in your system, if you friended them on Facebook or whatever. Yeah, it just makes connections so much easier to reestablish. And they really do never go away.
They don't.
Especially most of us changing our cell phone number or our email address, like our personal email. It's like changing your bank account. Nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
And
or your insurance, right? Like usually
right.
You get that insurance and it's, unless something happens, you really don't think about it, right?
And I get people that call me that I haven't talked to in 20 years. And they're like, oh, I still have your telephone number in my cell phone. I'm like, yeah, hey, glad you reached out. It's great to hear from you. So yeah,
I think
definitely.
we need to implement that into any strategic plan, because we're all always thinking of these new ideas. But if anything, to your point of all those contacts, like if we just integrated a piece of those old into the new things that we're doing, that will multiply and that will eventually end. Psychologically, we just feel better about it, right? Oh, it's nice to reach out to Jane because, oh, that was really great. I remember helping them, guiding them through that process.
Yeah, it's like walking into a room at a party and you're like surveying, do I know anybody?
Okay, who do I know?
Oh, there's somebody. We're going to end it on that because I think that is excellent advice. Thank you so much. I will put Laura's contact info in these posts. So if you want to reach out to Laura, you want info on Lighthouse Advisors, just it'll all be in the info on all of my posts on all social channels. So thank you so much, Laura. Have a great holiday. Thanks for being a part of this, and I really appreciate it.
All the best, Val. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.